Hey Gemini, I need you to take a deep breath with me right now, because what I am about to share with you is not easy. But I promise you that God has not abandoned you in this moment. I know that when you clicked on this video, your heart was probably already heavy. Maybe your hands were shaking a little bit. Maybe you have been crying for days, or maybe you have gone completely numb because the pain of infidelity is so overwhelming that sometimes our bodies just shut down to protect us. I want you to know that I see you. God sees you, and this reading is not a coincidence. The divine has guided you here because there are messages you desperately need to hear right now. Before we dive into the cards, I want to be really honest with you about something. Infidelity is one of the most devastating experiences a human being can go through. It shatters your sense of reality. It destroys your trust. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about your relationship, about your partner, and honestly, even about yourself. You might be asking yourself right now, was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? How did I miss the signs? And Gemini, I need you to hear this clearly. What happened is not your fault. The choices that another person makes belong to them alone. And while I know that does not take away the pain, I need you to understand that you did not cause this, and you do not deserve this suffering. I also want to acknowledge something that many people do not talk about when it comes to infidelity. Sometimes the most painful part is not even the physical betrayal. It is the emotional betrayal, the lies, the gaslighting, the way your reality was manipulated while you were trying to love someone with your whole heart. You gave your trust, your vulnerability, your future plans, your everyday moments, and someone treated that sacred gift carelessly. That is a profound violation, and you have every right to feel absolutely destroyed right now. But here is what I also know to be true, and this is where faith comes in. God does not waste pain. Every single tear you have cried, every sleepless night, every moment where you felt like you could not breathe because the weight of betrayal was crushing your chest. God has been there collecting those tears, and He is going to turn this devastation into something you cannot even imagine yet. I am not saying this to minimize what you are going through. I am saying this because I have seen it happen over and over again. The darkest moments in our lives often become the doorways to our greatest transformations. So today, I am going to pull 6 cards for you, and I am going to be completely honest about what I see. I am not going to sugarcoat anything because you deserve the truth. But I am also going to show you where God is working in this situation, where healing is possible, and what the future actually holds for you beyond this nightmare. Whether you choose to stay or leave, whether you choose to rebuild or start over, the cards are going to give us a clear picture of this spiritual journey ahead of you. And Gemini, one more thing before we start. If you are watching this and you feel like you are barely holding on, if you are having thoughts that scare you, please reach out to someone you trust. Call a friend, call a family member, reach out to a counselor or a crisis line. Your life has so much value, and this pain, as unbearable as it feels right now, is temporary. The future has beautiful things waiting for you. I promise. All right. Let me shuffle these cards, and let me ask God to speak through this reading to bring you the clarity, the comfort, and the direction that you need. I am covering you in prayer as we do this together. The first card I pulled for you is the Emperor. And Gemini, I have to tell you that when this card showed up in this position, I actually got chills because God is speaking so directly to your situation right now. The Emperor represents structure, authority, control, and personal power. And what Spirit is telling me is that the infidelity you have experienced has completely demolished your sense of stability and control in your life. Everything you thought was solid ground has turned into quicksand, and you have been flailing, trying to find something firm to stand on. This card is appearing because God wants you to know that it is time to reclaim your power. Here is what this means on a really practical level. When someone cheats on us, We often give away our power without even realizing it. We become obsessed with the other person. We check their phone constantly. We stalk social media accounts. We beg for explanations. We try to control their movements. And all of this makes sense because we are trying to feel safe again. But the Emperor is telling you that real power does not come from controlling another person. It comes from controlling yourself, your choices, your boundaries, and your future. God is asking you to step into your own authority right now, not in an aggressive way, but in a sovereign way. The Emperor wants you to understand that you are not a victim here. Even though something terrible was done to you, you are a powerful being who gets to decide what happens next. You get to decide if this relationship continues or ends. You get to decide what your boundaries are. You get to decide what behavior you will accept and what you absolutely will not tolerate. And I know that making these decisions feels terrifying right now because you are in so much pain. But this is actually the beginning of your healing. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix this, and you step into your own Emperor energy, everything starts to shift. There is also something else here that God wants me to tell you. The Emperor is associated with Father energy, with protection, with structure, and Spirit is showing me that you may have grown up without strong boundaries modeled for you. Maybe you saw relationships where infidelity was tolerated or swept under the rug. Maybe you learned that love meant sacrificing your dignity or accepting mistreatment. If that resonates with you, then this situation is actually a divine opportunity for you to break those generational patterns. God is saying that you do not have to repeat the cycles you witnessed. You can be the one who says, "No, I deserve better than this. I will not accept this. I am walking in my power." And that decision will not only heal you, but it will heal your lineage. The Emperor is also very much about creating structure and order out of chaos. And right now your life probably feels like complete chaos. You do not know what is true anymore. You do not know if you can trust your own judgment. Everything feels unstable. So God is giving you practical guidance here. Start creating structure in the small ways. Get up at the same time every day. Eat regular meals even if you do not feel like it. Move your body even if it is just a short walk. Journal your thoughts so they are not just swirling in your head. Talk to a therapist or a trusted advisor. These small acts of self-discipline are how you rebuild your foundation, and as you do this, you will start to feel your power returning piece by piece. I also need to tell you something that might be hard to hear, but the Emperor is very clear about this. If your partner cheated on you, that person has shown you through their actions that they do not respect the structure and boundaries of your relationship. Words are easy, promises are easy, tears and apologies can be manipulated, but actions tell the truth. The Emperor is asking you to look at the actions, not the words. Has this person genuinely taken responsibility without blaming you or making excuses? Have they done the hard work of examining why they made this choice? Have they committed to complete transparency and rebuilding trust through consistent behavior over time? Or are they just saying what they think you want to hear so that things can go back to normal as quickly as possible? God wants you to be discerning here, not cynical, but discerning. Your future happiness depends on seeing reality clearly. And here is the beautiful promise of the Emperor. When you stand in your power, when you set clear boundaries, when you refuse to accept anything less than the respect and faithfulness you deserve, you become a magnet for the kind of love that actually honors you. Whether that is with this person after genuine transformation, or with someone new in the future, stepping into your Emperor energy ensures that you will never again tolerate behavior that diminishes you. God is using this pain to teach you how strong you really are. And that strength is going to serve you for the rest of your life. The second card that came through for you is the Emperor. Wait, let me correct that because I already pulled the Emperor. Let me reshuffle and pull your second card here. Okay, your second card is the Lovers, and Gemini. This is such a significant card for this situation because the Lovers is literally about choices, commitments, values, and what we truly prioritize in our relationships. When I see this card in a reading about infidelity, God is bringing up some really important questions that you need to sit with. The Lovers card is not just about romance. It is about alignment. It is about two people who share the same values, who are moving in the same direction, who have made a conscious choice to build a life together based on mutual respect and shared vision. And here is what Spirit is asking you to examine. Were you and your partner ever truly aligned? I know this is painful to consider, but sometimes infidelity is not just a random mistake or a moment of weakness. Sometimes it is a symptom of a deeper misalignment that existed long before the cheating happened. God wants you to really reflect on this. Did you and your partner share the same core values about faithfulness, honesty, and commitment? Or were there signs early on that you chose to ignore or minimize because you wanted the relationship to work? The Lovers card is asking you to be brutally honest with yourself here, not to blame yourself, but to learn something crucial for your future. Sometimes we fall in love with potential. We fall in love with who we hope someone will become, and we ignore who they are, actually showing us they are right now. And then when they do something that violates our values, we are shocked. But if we are really honest, the signs were probably there all along. Here is where the spiritual lesson gets really deep. And this is something I want you to really take in. The Lovers card in tarot is often associated with the biblical story of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. And that story is all about choice, temptation, and consequences. Your partner made a choice to betray your trust. They were tempted, yes, but every human being faces temptation in various forms throughout their life. And what defines our character is what we do when we are tempted. Do we honor our commitments, or do we prioritize momentary pleasure? Do we consider the impact of our choices on the people we love, or do we act selfishly? Your partner chose self-gratification over your well-being, and that is a profound statement about their character and their values in that moment. But here is what God wants me to make really clear to you. The Lovers card is also appearing because you have a choice to make now. You are standing at a crossroads, and you get to decide which path you take moving forward. One path might be attempting to rebuild this relationship, if your partner is genuinely remorseful and willing to do the deep transformative work required. The other path might be choosing to walk away and create a new life for yourself without this person. And there might even be other paths I am not seeing. But the key message of the Lovers is that this is your choice to make, and whatever you choose, it needs to be aligned with your deepest values, not with fear, not with what other people think you should do, not with financial concerns or social pressure, but with what your soul knows to be true. God is also showing me something else with this Lovers card. There is a part of you that is questioning your own judgment right now. You are wondering how you could have loved someone who would hurt you like this. You are wondering if you can ever trust yourself to choose a partner wisely in the future. And Spirit wants you to know that your capacity to love deeply is not a weakness. It is actually your greatest strength. The problem was never that you loved too much. The problem was that you gave that precious love to someone who was not capable of honoring it properly. That does not mean you are broken or that your judgment is permanently damaged. It just means you are going to be more discerning going forward. The Lovers card is also about self-love, and this is crucial. One of the most damaging effects of infidelity is that it absolutely destroys our self-esteem. We start believing that we were not attractive enough, interesting enough, sexy enough, good enough in some fundamental way. And that is why our partner strayed. But Gemini, I need you to hear this from the depths of my spirit to yours. Someone else's inability to be faithful has nothing to do with your worth. You could be the most beautiful, intelligent, loving, supportive partner in the world, and someone with integrity issues will still find a way to betray you because the problem is inside them, not inside you. So the Lovers is calling you back into alignment with yourself first. Before you make any decisions about this relationship, you need to reconnect with your own values, your own worth, your own vision for what kind of love you want to experience in this lifetime. What does a healthy relationship look like to you? What are your non-negotiables? What kind of treatment do you deserve? When you get crystal clear on these things, the decision about whether to stay or go often becomes much more obvious. And here is the promise that God wants you to hold on to. The Lover's card in its highest expression represents divine union, sacred partnership, the kind of love that elevates both people and brings out the best in them. That kind of love does exist for you, Gemini. Whether it is with this person after genuine transformation and healing, or with someone you have not met yet, God has not forgotten about your desire for true partnership. This painful chapter is actually preparing you to recognize and receive the real thing when it shows up, because you will never again settle for anything less than mutual respect, honesty, and unwavering commitment. Your third card is the Fool. And when I pulled this, I actually smiled a little bit, because despite how heavy this reading has been, God is showing me that there is a new beginning waiting for you on the other side of this pain. The Fool is card number 1 in the tarot deck, and it represents fresh starts, innocence, taking a leap of faith, and trusting the journey even when you cannot see the entire path ahead. After betrayal, after your trust has been shattered, the idea of beginning again probably feels absolutely terrifying. But Spirit is telling you that this ending is actually making space for something beautiful and unexpected to enter your life. Here is what I am seeing with the Fool energy. You have been living in a relationship where you thought you knew what was happening. You thought you were building a future together. You thought you understood who your partner was. And then suddenly, all of that was revealed to be at least partially an illusion. That is devastating, but it is also liberating in a strange way. You are now free from false certainty. You are now free from a relationship that was built on deception. And yes, freedom can feel terrifying when you are comfortable in what you thought was security. But the Fool is saying that stepping into the unknown with faith is actually where all the magic happens. God is asking you to embrace beginner's mind right now. You do not have all the answers, and that is actually okay. You do not know how this is all going to turn out, and that is actually okay. What you do know is that you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still seeking guidance, and that means you have not given up on yourself. The Fool represents that courageous spirit within you that is willing to keep going even after everything has fallen apart. That is not foolishness. That is faith. And God honors that kind of faith deeply. There is also something really important about the Fool and new cycles. In numerology, the Fool is associated with the number 0, which represents infinite potential and the void from which all creation emerges. Right now you are in the void, Gemini. Your old relationship identity has been destroyed, and you have not yet stepped fully into your new identity. This in-between space is uncomfortable and disorienting, but it is also where transformation happens. You are being spiritually composted right now, broken down so that you can be built back up in a stronger, wiser, more authentic form. Trust the process even when it hurts. The Fool is also showing me that you need to give yourself permission to not have everything figured out right now. You do not need to make any massive decisions today. You do not need to know whether you are staying or leaving. You do not need to have a perfect plan for your future. All you need to do is take the next step, just the one right in front of you. Maybe that step is having an honest conversation. Maybe it is talking to a therapist. Maybe it is spending time with friends who support you. Maybe it is simply getting through today without falling apart. The Fool walks the path one step at a time, trusting that the universe will provide what is needed at each moment. And that is how you are going to get through this too. I am also seeing with the Fool that God is preparing you for a journey of self-discovery that you are not expecting. Infidelity forces us to examine everything, not just our relationship, but our own patterns, our own beliefs about love, our own wounds that might have made us tolerate less than we deserved. This is not about blaming yourself. It is about knowing yourself at a deeper level. The Fool's journey is about discovering who you really are when all the external structures are stripped away. And what you are going to discover about yourself in the coming months is going to be profound. You are stronger than you thought. You are more resilient than you knew. And you are capable of creating a life that truly reflects your values and your worth. There is also a playful quality to the Fool that might seem out of place in such a serious reading. But hear me out. Part of healing from betrayal is reclaiming your joy. Somewhere along the way in this relationship, you probably stopped doing things that made you happy. You probably sacrificed parts of yourself to try to make things work. You probably dimmed your light to make someone else feel more comfortable. The Fool is giving you permission to be yourself again, to explore your interests, to laugh with friends, to do silly things just because they bring you pleasure. Joy is not betraying your pain. Joy is actually how you heal from it. Let yourself be a beginner at life again, trying new things, meeting new people, discovering what makes you feel alive. And here is the beautiful spiritual truth of the Fool. This card is ruled by the planet Uranus, which governs sudden changes, liberation, and breaking free from restrictions. What felt like the worst thing that could happen to you is actually the catalyst for your liberation. God is using this betrayal to free you from a situation that was never going to give you the love you truly deserve. You could not see it before because you were inside it, but from a higher perspective, this was divine intervention. The universe loved you too much to let you waste any more of your precious life in a relationship that was fundamentally broken down, so take the leap of faith. Gemini, trust that even though you cannot see where you are landing, God has prepared a soft place for you to fall. Trust that this ending is a beginning in disguise. Trust that you are being guided every step of the way, and trust that the person you become through walking this difficult path is going to be someone you are incredibly proud of. The Fool promises that your adventure is just beginning. Your fourth card is the Queen of Cups and Gemini. This is where I feel like I need to get really tender with you, because the Queen of Cups is all about emotional depth, intuition, compassion, and the ability to feel everything deeply. I am sensing that you are someone who loves with your whole heart, who feels everything intensely, who has incredible empathy and emotional intelligence. And right now, all of those beautiful qualities are making this situation so much harder because you are not just experiencing surface-level hurt. You are feeling this betrayal in every cell of your body, in every layer of your being. The Queen of Cups is appearing to validate your emotions first and foremost. Everything you are feeling right now is completely valid and appropriate. If you are cycling through rage and devastation and numbness and hope and despair all in the same hour, that is normal. If you are having physical symptoms like not being able to eat or sleeping too much or feeling sick to your stomach, that is your body processing trauma. If you are having intrusive thoughts about the affair or images you cannot get out of your head, that is how the mind tries to make sense of something incomprehensible. The Queen of Cups wants you to know that you are not crazy, you are not overreacting, you are not being dramatic. You are a deeply feeling person who has experienced a profound violation of trust, and your emotional response is completely proportional to what has happened. But here is where the Queen of Cups is also bringing guidance. This card represents someone who has incredible emotional wisdom, who understands the full spectrum of human feeling, but who also knows how to hold boundaries around her emotional energy. And God is showing me that part of your healing journey is learning to be compassionate toward yourself, while also not drowning in the emotions. You need to feel everything, Yes, absolutely. But you also need to develop practices that help you regulate your nervous system so you are not completely overwhelmed all the time. Let me get practical here, because the Queen of Cups is a very practical card despite being a water card. You need to create a support system right now. You need people you can call at 3 in the morning when the pain feels unbearable. You need a therapist who specializes in infidelity and betrayal trauma, because this is a specific kind of trauma that requires specific support. You need to journal. You need to move your body. You need to do things that help discharge the emotional intensity from your system. The Queen of Cups is deeply intuitive, and I am being shown that you need to trust your intuition moving forward. But you cannot hear your intuition clearly when you are in a constant state of emotional flooding. So the work right now is to feel your feelings and to care for yourself with the same compassion you would show a dear friend going through this. There is also something here about the Queen of Cups and boundaries. One of the shadow aspects of this card is being so compassionate and empathetic that you end up absorbing other people's emotions and taking responsibility for their behavior. And I am sensing that you might be someone who does this. You might be sitting there right now, trying to understand why your partner cheated, trying to figure out what you could have done differently, trying to have compassion for whatever they were going through that led them to make this choice. And while understanding is fine, taking responsibility for someone else's betrayal is not. Okay. The Queen of Cups in her highest expression is someone who can have deep compassion for another person's struggles without compromising her own boundaries and without accepting mistreatment. She can say, I understand that you are dealing with something difficult, and I am not willing to be in a relationship with someone who handles difficulty by betraying me. See the difference? Compassion does not mean tolerance of harmful behavior. The Queen of Cups knows how to hold space for complexity while still protecting her own emotional well-being. And that is the balance God is asking you to find right now. I am also seeing that the Queen of Cups is connected to intuition, and I want to ask you something. Did you know? Did you have a feeling that something was off even before you had concrete proof? Did your gut tell you something was wrong, but you talked yourself out of trusting it? Many people who have been cheated on later realized that they actually had intuitive hits about the infidelity, but they dismissed those feelings as paranoia or insecurity. If that is true for you, then one of the most important lessons here is learning to trust your intuition moving forward. The Queen of Cups is ruled by the element of water, which governs psychic ability and emotional knowing, and God is developing those gifts in you right now, so that you never again ignore that inner voice that is trying to protect you. The Queen of Cups is also deeply connected to the divine feminine, to receptivity, to the ability to flow with what life brings. And I know that might sound impossible right now when everything feels broken, but there is a spiritual invitation here. Can you soften into this experience instead of hardening against it? Can you let yourself be held by God, by loving friends, by the universe itself, instead of trying to white-knuckle your way through? The Queen of Cups teaches us that there is incredible strength in vulnerability, that allowing ourselves to be seen in our pain is actually how we heal. You do not have to be strong all the time. You do not have to have it together. You are allowed to fall apart, and there are people and a God who will catch you when you do not. And finally, the Queen of Cups is promising you that your capacity to feel deeply, to love fully, to be emotionally present, these are gifts that will serve you beautifully once you have healed from this trauma. Someone who can only access shallow emotions will never hurt as much as you are hurting right now, but they also will never experience the heights of joy and love that you are capable of experiencing. Do not let this betrayal close your heart permanently. Protect yourself, yes. Be discerning, absolutely. But do not shut down that beautiful emotional depth that makes you who you are. The world needs people like you who can feel everything and still choose love. Your fifth card is the Seven of Cups and Gemini. This card is coming up because God wants to address the confusion and the overwhelming number of choices you are dealing with right now. The Seven of Cups shows a figure looking at 7 different cups, each containing a different vision or possibility, and they are paralyzed trying to figure out which option is real and which ones are illusions. That is exactly where you are right now, is it not? You are being presented with multiple possible futures, multiple decisions, multiple versions of reality, and you do not know which way to turn. Here is what those 7 cups might represent in your situation. Maybe your partner is promising to change, and you have to decide if you believe them. Maybe you are weighing financial implications of staying versus leaving. Maybe you are thinking about the impact on children if you have them. Maybe you are imagining what your life would look like if you started over versus what it would look like if you stayed and rebuilt. Maybe you are dealing with conflicting advice from family and friends, everyone telling you what I think you should do. Maybe you are even having fantasies about revenge or confronting the other person. The Seven of Cups is showing me that your mind is absolutely spinning with all of these different scenarios and possibilities. And it is creating analysis paralysis where you cannot actually make a clear decision. God is being very direct here through this card. Many of those cups contain illusions, not reality. And your job right now is to discern which possibilities are grounded in truth and which ones are fantasy. For example, if your partner is promising to change, you need to look at their track record. Have they ever actually made a significant behavioral change before when it was difficult? Or do they tend to promise change and then revert to old patterns once the crisis passes? If you are fantasizing about the perfect reconciliation, where this makes your relationship stronger than ever, you need to be realistic about the fact that rebuilding trust after infidelity takes years of consistent effort, and many couples do not make it. If you are imagining that leaving will immediately make you feel better, you need to be honest that divorce or separation comes with its own set of challenges and pain. The Seven of Cups is asking you to get grounded. Stop living in your head with all these swirling possibilities and get anchored in what is actually true right now. What is true is that a betrayal happened. What is true is that you are in pain. What is true is that you deserve honesty, respect, and faithfulness in a relationship. When you ground yourself in these basic truths, some of those cups disappear because you realize they were never real options to begin with. The fantasy that you can just forget this happened and go back to normal, that is an illusion, and you can put that cup down. The fear that you will never love again or be loved again, that is also an illusion. Put that cup down . There is also a warning in the Seven of Cups about escapism, when reality is too painful. Our natural instinct is to escape through fantasy, through substances, through obsessive behaviors, through anything that helps us not feel what we are feeling. And God is lovingly warning you not to fall into that trap right now. Do not make this more confusing than it needs to be by adding in substances or by rebounding into a new relationship before you have processed this one, or by making impulsive decisions just to avoid sitting with the discomfort. The only way out is THROUGH. And that means staying present with your reality, even when it is agonizing. But here is the hopeful message of the Seven of Cups. Once you clear away the illusions and the fantasies and the overwhelm, what remains is clarity. There is actually a clear path forward for you. But you cannot see it yet because you are distracted by all these other possibilities. The spiritual work right now is to simplify. Stop trying to figure out every possible outcome. Stop trying to control things that are not within your control. Instead, focus on one question at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. When you simplify and ground yourself, the right choice becomes obvious because it aligns with your values and your intuition. God is also showing me that the Seven of Cups can represent wishful thinking. And I want to be gentle but honest with you here. If you are hoping that your partner will magically transform into someone they have never been, that is wishful thinking. If you are hoping that you can logic your way into feeling safe with someone who betrayed you without them doing the deep work, that is wishful thinking. The Seven of Cups is asking you to release the fantasy and deal with the reality, because only in reality can true healing and right action occur. Your final card is the Fool. Wait, I already pulled the Fool. Let me reshuffle here and pull your actual sixth card. Your sixth and final card is the Ten of Cups. And Gemini, I am going to be honest with you. When this card appeared, I actually got emotional, because this is the card of true emotional fulfillment. Lasting happiness, family harmony, and the kind of love that actually feels like coming home. After everything we have talked about in this reading, after all the pain and betrayal and confusion, God is ending this reading with a promise. You will experience the Ten of Cups energy in your life. You will know what it feels like to be in a relationship where you feel completely safe, completely cherished, completely at peace. But here's what you need to understand about the Ten of Cups. This card does not show up just because we want it to. It shows up when we have done the inner work, when we have healed our wounds, when we have established healthy boundaries, when we have learned to choose partners based on character and alignment rather than chemistry and potential. The Ten of Cups is the reward for doing all the difficult work we have been talking about throughout this reading. It is the outcome of stepping into your Emperor power, making aligned choices like the Lovers, having the courage to begin again like the Fool, developing emotional wisdom like the Queen of Cups, and clearing away illusions like the Seven of Cups. So let me be really clear about what this card is and is not saying. It is not saying that your current relationship will magically transform into the Ten of Cups if you just hang in there and hope hard enough. It is not saying that the person who betrayed you is your guaranteed path to this kind of fulfillment. What it is saying is that this level of happiness and partnership is part of your destiny. It is what God has planned for you. But you might need to release what is not working in order to make space for it to arrive. The Ten of Cups is showing me a vision of you in the future, and you are genuinely happy. Not the fake happiness where you are performing for other people or trying to convince yourself everything is fine when it is not. Real, deep, authentic happiness where you wake up feeling grateful for your life and the people in it. You are in a relationship where both people are fully committed, where there is transparency and honesty, where you feel emotionally safe enough to be your full self. Maybe there are children or pets or a community of people you love. There is laughter and ease, and a sense that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. That future exists for you, Gemini, and nothing that has happened can take it away from you unless you give up on yourself. But getting to the Ten of Cups requires faith right now when everything looks dark. It requires believing that God has better plans for you than you can even imagine. It requires trusting that this devastating chapter is actually the painful but necessary bridge between where you were and where you are going. The Ten of Cups is asking you to hold the vision of your happy ending even while you are walking through hell, because that vision is what will give you the strength to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I also want to talk about something important regarding the Ten of Cups and reconciliation. If your partner is genuinely remorseful, if they are willing to do years of work to rebuild trust, if they are completely transparent and consistent, if they take full responsibility without blaming you or making excuses, if they get therapy and truly examine why they made this choice and do the deep transformative work, then yes, it is possible that this relationship could eventually become a Ten of Cups situation. Couples can come back from infidelity and create something even stronger than before. But it is rare, and it requires both people to be fully committed to the healing process. Only you can determine if that is possible in your situation, and you need to watch actions over time, not words in the immediate aftermath. But I also need to say this, because Spirit is very clear about it. The 10 of Cups might also be waiting for you with someone you have not yet. Someone who would never dream of betraying you. Someone who cherishes your trust as the sacred gift it is. Someone who is emotionally mature enough to handle conflict and difficulty without destroying the relationship. If that is your path, then this current painful ending is actually making space for that person to enter your life. God might be removing this person from your life to make room for your actual 10 of Cups partner. And you will not know which scenario is true until you give yourself time and space to gain clarity. The 10 of Cups is also deeply connected to inner peace. And this is something you can work on right now, regardless of what happens with your relationship. You can start building that sense of contentment and fulfillment within yourself by reconnecting with what brings you joy, by spending time with people who genuinely love you, by creating small rituals of happiness in your daily life, by practicing gratitude even in the midst of pain. The external 10 of Cups flows from the internal 10 of Cups, so start there. Here is my final message to you, Gemini. This reading started with devastation, and it is ending with hope. And that trajectory is intentional, because that is the spiritual journey you are on right now. You are in the darkness, but you are moving toward the light. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment where you thought you could not go on, but you did anyway, all of it is part of your transformation. God has not forgotten about you. He sees your pain, and He is working behind the scenes to turn this into your testimony, into your strength, into the foundation of a life that is more authentic and fulfilling than what you had before. You are going to get through this. You are going to heal. You are going to love again. You are going to trust again. And one day you are going to look back on this moment, and you will be grateful for who you became because of it, even though you would never wish the pain on anyone else. That is the promise of the 10 of Cups, and God keeps His promises. I am sending you so much love right now, Gemini. I am praying for your healing, for your clarity, for your courage to do what needs to be done. You are not alone in this. Hold on to hope. Better days are coming,